knowing that other people are going through the same thing that you're doing, I think that like saved me from becoming depressed. In the US, it's like, okay, is my boss here? Like, okay, is he still working? Okay, I'm gonna be working. And that's not great. Like there's pros and cons to it. I learned how to be a go-getter in the US because you have to. It's like grind.
Yeah.
I think when I moved to the UK and people have boundaries with work, that's a good thing in terms of like your mental health and like having space. Where does work end? Where can you like refresh yourself? I think the UK has really made me realize like it is so important for me to do a really good job. I need to like have my other personal life stuff in order. In the UK, it's not like you see so many Latinos like already. You don't. So I felt really lonely, and I'm really grateful for the people that I met because everyone had a similar story. Like the first few years are rough. You'll do it, you'll get it, but it's not an easy path. And I think I'm grateful that I heard that in the beginning, because if I had been disillusioned, like maybe I would have been like to my partner, like, let's go. Like this wasn't a good idea.
Hi, Jen.
Hello.
Thank you for coming on this podcast of ours called Chico Talks, empowered by TODO UK network. Just a brief context, it's a platform for corporate Latinos from all over the world, UK, US, you name it. Platform for you guys to give the audience insight into your experience, who you are, and for us also to learn from you guys as well.
Definitely.
To introduce Jen, she is a senior customer success manager at Group GTI. Previous experience at the United Nations, CrossCap, NBC Universal in New York. Now based in London. So just a bit of context of Group GTI. Mission is to help students realize their potential in the world of work through tech, content and tools. So just to get into it, can you tell us a bit about yourself, what brought you to the UK, and just a bit about your current role? We'll delve into that a bit more. But
I have been in the UK now for 2 years. I moved to London from New York with my partner, and basically I had been born and raised in New York. I had never lived abroad. I had traveled a bit, and this is more my personal life, but I met someone who was from Europe, and he was very adamant from the beginning, like not staying in the US forever. And I was like, cool, like not a problem, not a deal breaker at all.
He said it from the start though,
right?
right?
He said it from the start, it was very early on.
He set the boundaries, set the expectations.
Yes, exactly. Set the, what the deal was from the beginning. And with my career, I was really happy where I was in my career, but I thought this is the moment that I should take that leap. And for me personally, I'd always dreamed of moving to Europe, UK, or anywhere on the other side of the world. And that opportunity came 2 years ago, and we said, let's go for it. So I'm here now. Had to kind of re-pivot a little bit in my career. That was a bit scary, but I guess all the lessons learned, I was like, I could do it. I've done it in the US, and I will do it again in the UK.
Cool.
Amazing.
And how is that adaptation process going for these 2 years? How do you feel? Do you feel happy here? Do you miss anything from New York, maybe?
Yeah, I think I naively thought, okay, I don't have to learn a new language, so this is going to be fine. My parents did it. They went to the US from El Salvador. They didn't know the language, and they figured it out. So if anything, I have more tools. And I think what I realized was like, there's this cultural aspect of it that I did not expect would be such a thing. And in the corporate world, how the US works in corporate environment is so different in the UK. Like what is, in the US, I feel like you're outgoing, say what you mean, put forth your ideas, like go for it. That is not necessarily a positive in the UK. And so I learned having to navigate, and that's the tricky part for me, because it's difficult to like have to second guess, like, should I put myself out there? Should I be a little bit more low key? And that's been something that I think I just have to kind of figure it out. And I think that will come with time. But I'm happy. I think it's just putting myself out there. I wanted to do this. Every day I'm like, this is what I want, and this is what I wanted. And I don't know, I guess I have a little bit of confidence where I'm like, it's going to work out.
I guess just to touch on that, like a question from that is, I guess, would you attribute that to your sort of upbringing, like being able to be more expressive? And I guess when you got here, the US, UK work culture, probably, did you feel like it limited you to a certain extent, or did you have to be like more careful in your approach to things, maybe?
in the US, and that's interesting, right? Because I was brought up culturally as a Latina.
Right.
And so there's the aspect of you're being told, hey, go through the process, go be really good at school. This is your tool to get out of poverty.
Yeah.
Right.
And I definitely went with that. But then the other half of me is very American, where it's like, you have to speak your mind, you have to go for it. The only person who's going to be able to like make it is you.
Yeah.
And so sometimes that's even difficult for me as well, like the two different cultures together. I think when I came to the UK, it was a bit like I'm going for interviews and I have to first break into the industry is that I don't have any experience in the UK. So someone has to take faith that I'm going to work out. And I think it was just through the application process, which I went through a lot. That was like 5 months of looking for work.
Wow.
It's just trying to navigate. I was reading books about like how to understand the UK culture. I mean, really, I was like,
you did your due diligence,
I did my
research.
work. Having to, you have to be like confident, but in a way that it's more collaborative.
Yes.
Right.
You did it as a team. Whereas in the US, no, you have to say what you contributed and how you did this.
Okay.
So it's little things like that. And I think I got lucky. I was networking a lot, trying to meet people, so asking other people, how did you do it?
Yeah.
I think that really helped. But I needed that insider. I wasn't going to get that unless I like really kind of put myself out there.
Yeah. And if someone was to come from the US, was looking to make that transition from a different country, what would you, apart from networking, what would you recommend? Or
I don't know. I really think the networking part was key for me.
Okay.
And I'm really involved with Latinas in Tech. And so I had already joined in the US, in New York. So when I moved here, that was kind of the first thing I did, was outreach, to get to know people. I really think it's not even like, oh, I'm going to make connections from it. It's like, no, how did you survive? Like, how did you navigate it? How did you deal with the uncertainty that like you're going to have to keep doing until someone says yes? I would do that for someone. Not only is it going to help you in terms of like finding work, hopefully, but knowing that other people are going through the same thing that you're doing, I think that like saved me from becoming depressed about it, because that would have been really difficult to navigate by myself. Like,
it's a support system you have, right?
And in the UK, it's not like you see so many Latinos like already. You don't. So I felt really lonely, and I'm really grateful for the people that I met, because everyone had a similar story. Like the first few years are rough. You'll do it. You'll get it. But it's not an easy path. And I think I'm grateful that I heard that in the beginning, because if I had been disillusioned, like maybe I would have been like to my partner, like, let's go, like this wasn't a good idea.
And then that's the power of networking, right?
Yes.
Because I believe, from what I know, that's kind of how you guys met. The connection's been made there. And then now obviously we're on this podcast today, and then further connections are going to be made. Do you know what I mean? So in terms of that, in what ways has the UK changed your view of work, success, or community?
Oh my God, so much. So I come from the US, where you work one thing, and I really don't mean this in a bad way, but like my eyes were so open when my job, everyone at 5:25 was like closing the laptops.
Yeah. That's in the US?
No, this was
here in the UK.
Okay. In the US, it's like, okay, is my boss here? Like, okay, is he still working? Okay, I'm gonna be working. And that's not great. Like, there's pros and cons to it. I learned how to be a go-getter in the US, because you have to. It's like grind. I think when I moved to the UK and people have boundaries with work, that's a good thing in terms of like your mental health and like having space. Where does work end? Where can you like refresh yourself? I think the UK has really made me realize like it is so important for me to do a really good job. I need to like have my other personal life stuff in order. And you can only do that if you have time away. And I think COVID really helped me realize that. And I think that's a bit of what made that necessary jump to have to move, is that in the US, like when I didn't have work 24/7, I didn't know what to do with myself. Like I didn't have anything. I just wanted to be really good at my job. And I do, and I'm not trying to deter like young people. I feel like, yes, go for it. When you're young and you have the energy, go for it. But at some point, it's so easy to burn out, and I don't think people talk about that. Like, I've been there, burn out, and not knowing what to do, and like, okay, I'll just keep going. Somehow things are just going to change, and I'll feel better. I never really had time when I was in the US to think about like, what do I want to do with my career? All I thought was the now. And I think now living in the UK, I've been able to think about like, do I want a family? What do I want to do with my career? I've had space to like think about questions that are not easy to answer.
Yeah, I think it's just like interesting just to hear the perspective of of a fellow Latino, their experience in the US as opposed to UK, because I think the US, UK, they're very like big in corporate, right? So it's good to like get that insight from you, from your experience and how, you know, you've been able to have another outlook on life here, I guess. More time for your hobbies and then to translate that into your work, to your performance, right? It is important. So that's good to know. Moving on to the next sort of section of this podcast, just to learn a bit more inside your company, GTI, looking into talent, culture, customer success, leadership. Can you walk us through what a typical day looks like for you as a senior customer success manager?
So what's interesting is I used to do product management, and because I was having a really hard time delving into the UK market, I have 6 years experience in customer success. So I was like, okay, I gotta go back to what I was really good at.
That was the pivot you were talking about earlier, right?
So I was very intentional in the US that I wanted to go to product management. I want to like build products, and I want to be able to work with developers and designers. And this is one of those things that life throws you stuff at some point, because I could have taken like, oh, this is a failure, I have to go back to something I did before. But when I went through interviews, I was like, no, I'm really good at customer success. I'm really good at having natural conversations with clients. I think what's tricky is that you think, oh, I have to sell them stuff. I have to make sure they're happy with our product. But I've been able to manage a lot of accounts where I'm genuinely really friendly with them. One of my clients is talking about joining one of my salsa classes. I'm like, great, amazing. Like, you know, like I genuinely want to make connections. And I would say a typical day for me is that I'm answering a lot of emails. So I have around 50 clients. My sector is in the legal field, so I'm working with law firms. And these law firms want to hire diverse candidates. So one big thing when I was here in the UK is like, I want to work for something that has some kind of mission. It's very easy to like fintech and sell this product and swipe and
All the buzzwords,
I wanted to, I wanted to do something that I felt like, okay, I'm actually making a difference. I'm really passionate about not only like, it doesn't have to be diverse candidates, just young people getting jobs, especially here in the UK. That's a huge issue, huge talking point. And so I work with law firms where basically how do they brand themselves so that students want to go and look in, like, can I apply to a graduate scheme? Can I apply to a vacation scheme? And so day to day, I'm just navigating, okay, we're building up your profile where students see you. It's called Target Jobs. They have a profile and then they can post their opportunities there. And so I'm really navigating, but then something that I would say as a recommendation to people is that I'm still very much interested in products. So I'm now working with the product team, trying to outline, okay, what different products can we work on? That's not part of my title and it's not part of my role, but I'm very interested and I want to do it. So I've, worked with senior management team. I'm like, that's something I'm genuinely interested in, so I want to explore. And now I'm also working with ways of working team internally. How can we navigate processes that are a little bit more efficient? Again, not part of my role, but like, I think for one of these things, I necessarily maybe aspire to bigger things. And so I need to kind of like
100%.
Put my web out there and of influence. So that's kind of what I'm doing in my role now.
No, that's amazing. And I genuinely think like for anyone that maybe isn't in a position or is looking to take a position where they have to navigate out of their comfort zone, it's a great way to like start. So like take something, maybe if you think it's a step back, look at the bigger picture, like you're doing, right? Because it's not your job title, but who knows, that could be because you're going above and beyond that your role right now. You're doing your job, doing a good job at it, but then you're also involving yourself in different projects. So I think that's very powerful, and I think that's unspoken of a lot, because a lot of people sometimes think that it's all it's all very linear. It's like I need to have this product management title right here and now, otherwise I don't want it. But it's not. No, like take the sales role and then prove your value in the company 100%. And then tell them you want to do product management.
And what I think is the most important part is like, if you learn that that's not what you want to do, that is super valuable. It's valuable information that maybe 10 years from now you don't have to take a pivot because you've already tried it out. And so when you're young, this is like the most important time. Take on that project, take on that extra thing, especially if you time, space, mentally, whatever. Because it doesn't hurt you to know, like, okay, I checked that off, I'm really interested, let me explore that further, or you know what, don't like that, now I know for sure that's not an avenue I'm gonna go down. And I
think that's amazing, and like audience, that's like a role model right there, because you're saying that you're taking on more responsibilities, you're integrating all these opportunities or projects within your company and bringing it to yourself, building that skill set. So I think a lot of the younger demographic audience can really learn from that.
Yeah.
Like you said, at a very early age, it's very important. Just moving on, like from what you do, what would you say is the most fulfilling part of your job? What makes you feel like, you know, I want to go again, or like
I want to go to work.
What's rewarding for you in your role in the platform?
So I got hired as a senior customer success manager, and part of the role was like, we are going to have younger customer success managers that maybe you can be a bit of like a mentor for. And I definitely took that seriously. In the past, because I've worked for startups that are a little bit small, I've been either the only one or I've been the youngest one. Mostly I've always been the youngest person. Now I'm like tending to the other side. This is what happens when you go in your 30s. Now I'm the oldest person. But I think that part I really like. I like, especially when I see younger people, I'll have them, we have 2 new people in our team. I have them join my calls. I want them to see what a natural conversation can be like instead of like a checklist. I think when you're not confident, you haven't built the skill set yet, you're kind of like going by a checklist. Okay, well, I told the client this, and then I told the client that, and it feels very robotic, which I don't blame them. How would they know? You haven't built that muscle yet. So I love having them like join my calls, and I love to call them afterwards. Like, tell me what you thought. What's your perspective? What would you have done differently? What did I do that like surprised you? And let's talk about it. And I think I really love that part of my job because I just think that just see a different thing. I'm also a very warm Latina. Like they don't have that. Like they're not seeing that often. So it's already seeing like, what does a female like who's confident at her job look like? What does that sound like? It doesn't have to be like salesy. It could be very natural.
100%.
And I think they're seeing just a different perspective, which I think is good. Like whether they grab something or whether they don't like something, that's good for them to see.
It's also very helpful, like for you to have that approach, and like, they can see you as a mentor as well. And you're, like you said, you're more than happy to like be that mentor. Have them in your calls, give them that sort of shadowing to an extent, you could call it, and then they can learn from that and then 100%. Develop. Awesome. That's great insight.
I know you touched a little bit upon, you know, as customer success, you know, some of your clients come into your salsa lessons, which makes, you know, the sale essentially part of it much easier sometimes, right? Because you are genuinely building relationships with these people. So it's not like a transactional where it's like, I've got the relationship, I've got the sale, now let's move on. So you're in that aspect, you know, how would you, or what would you say is the best way to kind of farm relationships?
I mean, I really think it has to come from an authentic place because
Agreed.
I guess I could invite all my clients to salsa. That wouldn't make sense. Some of them, it just wouldn't, that's not the vibe. It's just like not, I think it's a kind of thing that you have to see for yourself, like what you're comfortable with, because it doesn't have to be something as like intense as that, but it could be like, oh, you remember that person had, like I'm thinking of one client that told me a lot about her daughter, and then recently her daughter hurt her foot, and I remembered that her daughter, she does for a living. And so I was like, oh, that's sucks. I remember that you said she does X, Y, Z. And I think even the client realizing that I remembered something like that was like, oh, yeah, Jen, I did tell you about that. That was months ago. I have around 52 clients. That's not necessarily an easy thing to do, like to remember every single one, but I think for me, because I want to make authentic relationships, it makes a difference. They are working with many different vendors who sell very similar things that we do. Maybe me remembering her daughter's occupation will just make me stand out a little bit. Now, am I doing this calculated, okay, I have to remember? I'm not. No. It's just more like I remembered. But I think just that human element, like
being genuine with them as well. I think that goes a long way, right? Being just your real self.
Being yourself.
And look, in the UK, it's so easy. Like, remember the football team they said they liked? Like, I feel like, there we go. That's
a lot
not
of
really
football and beer culture.
Like, for me, that's not going to be the thing that I remember. But food, salsa, dance, food, kids, salsa, family, like those are the things that get in my head. But maybe for someone else, it'll be sports or something.
People actually want to chat as well sometimes. If you think about it, if you join the call here, it's like the first 5 minutes we're talking about the weather.
Which I got on that quick. I was like, yes, gray, raining, yes, it sucks. Like
it's snowing, grey, the sun is but in terms of like shifting to AI a little bit, and you know, I'm assuming you're adapting it in your workspace. How has that influenced your role?
You know, it's funny because when I joined tech, so I worked at the UN right out of uni, and I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I ended up leaving to go to a startup because I'm like, I'm going to be so safe. If I join tech, I'll never have to worry about my job. Now, 10 years later, I'm like, ooh, okay, I have to think about this. But I think, to me, I've tried to think, how can I make this more efficient to make the human element of my job smoother? So for me, customer success, we have to constantly be on meetings, note-taking, follow-up emails. I have to remember if we have a playbook of like, we need to do X, Y, Z, need to remember a lot of stuff like that. I've been utilizing AI to make that part of the processes that I can automate. Now, one thing, and again, this is something that like I feel like you just learn with time, we were told we have a certain budget to maybe look for tools to make the note-taking part easier, to take a note taker. Now that ended up not working out. Now I was like, that pilot was amazing. I saved so much time with that tool. If I could do this, then I could show X, Y, Z. So I kind of teamed up with someone from the product team. I was like, I think we could make a business case that we would save this amount of money if all of us utilize this tool. Now, I think that some people are like, okay, management said no, so that's it. Can't do it. I was like, no, let's make a business case and we're going to show them. And so my friend and I, you know, my colleague and I were like, whatever, let's show that we can do it. So we scoped out a couple of different note takers. We, you know, this works, this doesn't work. This would be something that higher management maybe wants, maybe doesn't want. And now we're launching in Monday this week, a pilot with like the whole sales team. And basically, because we showed how much money we could save, this is something that now the management team is like, okay, this is strategically, financially makes sense. So yeah, again, not part of my role, but I know that this will save me time, which make my role easier. So let's go for it.
Free up time so you can focus on things outside of the day-to-day, right?
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think that one thing I want to mention there, I feel like a lot of us, like Latinos in general, we're so resilient. Would you say?
Yeah, I agree.
And it's like, if someone says no to us, at times we're like, hang on. If we think we have an idea, we know something's going to work, we push through.
I think it's also about being strategic. Like, I don't think I'm confident enough that if I say, someone says no, and be like, no, but let me tell you. Because this time I really was like, I need someone from the inside. And this guy is like the British guy, he's in product, he's very good with tech,
He's got a voice, he probably has a voice.
He has a voice, so, you know, I think I was strategic in a way. I'm like, okay, I made a case. Maybe he's not aware of the business case on our side, so let's talk. Let's, and it was like coffee chats and stuff. It wasn't like we came up with this plan initially. It was just like, what are you thinking? And to me that worked out for my favor because I'm too shy to be like management and knocking on the door like we're gonna do this.
But yeah, like you said, you have to be strategical sometimes. And look at that where it's got you actually working in the right direction to make it happen.
And I think this comes with time. So if you're like new to your job, I don't think hey, start scheming.
You're gonna come in there.
But I think this is about those coffee chats. Have coffee chats with everyone in your company. Get to know what they're doing because this is where these things happen. It's like, oh, you have this interest in AI. Like, now I know I can talk to you. Oh, you have an interest in product. I'll rope you in on SIF. That's just happened organically.
Whereas if you're not having these chats, they won't know that, and you won't know what they do, right?
Exactly. And you might be bored of your job. You might be like, oh, I'm so over it. But maybe someone needs help in another project that you'd be interested in, and they don't even know that's something. So,
feeding onto that, in a way, I would say is. Talking about representation now, so being a Latino in the UK corporate environment. Question from us is, have you ever probably walked into a corporate setting, a networking event, a meeting, where perhaps you felt like you were the only one in that meeting? And how did you navigate that?
So I feel like for me, I'm so happy for you guys, the younglings, because I feel like it's not that common anymore. Things are becoming much more diverse. I think companies are thinking, oof, this is not a good look if it's like a room full of white men. So already that's in your favor. When I started back in 2014, my first job, I got hired at the UN and I was working at a teleconference unit.
So just to clarify, UN, United Nations, right?
United Nations. So I studied political science, and my dream was to work at the UN. And I'm very, very fortunate that I got a role, kind of like, I'm going to put my foot in the door. I'm going to work as an assistant for this video conference unit, which basically took care of all the meetings that the UN has. This is before COVID, so Zoom was very new, and we have to be there, turn on the computer. Like now it's non-existent. But at the time, I got hired to kind of navigate the help desk. So that was my exposure into IT. Wicked. I didn't study this. I didn't know anything about it. I was like, I can answer emails. And so I'm managing a help desk where we're getting a bunch of emails and very high level, like this meeting's going on. Where's the guy? We got to do that. It's going to start in 5 minutes. And so very intense. Yeah. And my role was to basically navigate a group of 10 men who were all 45 and older, who are technicians, basically. Cool. And so that role, I'm 21 years old, this little tiny Latina, and I'm like, you have to go to this room. And they're like, who the hell are you? It's this little girl is going to tell me what I have to do. And I'm telling you that was my first exposure at like, you have to get confidence from somewhere because someone's not going to listen to you if you sound scared. And I think the first few months I was navigating and that I'm really grateful for my Latin side because I'm like, well, that comes out in parties. That comes out in you build this authority thing. And so for me, I think navigating that, for me, male authority figures were that was something that I had to work for years. How do I sound confident? How do I not sound scared? How do I sound collaborative? How do I not sound emotional? Right. That was things that took years for me. Okay. Still working on it now, but I think now I'm kind of like, I don't lose my cool if I'm in a room full of men. Okay. That's already not a thing. Yeah, but that took time. That's something that's going to take time for people.
Listen, I feel like it's always good to put yourself there in the fire, so props to you because you went there. You went to the United Nations. It's a humongous organization. But just to feed on that, I would say, like you mentioned, obviously it took you some time to lose that fear, I would say, to be able to be put in that room full of these quote white leaders, etc., whatever you want to call them. But was there like a moment where you realized that your identity was something that you no longer had to manage, but you could instead lead with? Yeah. And I think that's a good example there, but was there another perhaps key
I'll
moment?
tell you that at the time in New York City, outside of work, I found salsa. And the UN was a really stressful job for me. It was always putting out fires. And I think customer success is a lot of that. And a big part of the reason why I left customer success was like, I'm tired of putting out fires. I want to deal with no fires. So at the time, in order to cope with that, I found salsa. That was something that I did after work. And I made these like friendships there from women who were Latinas, who were like, Jen, you are amazing. And I think the fact that they were not in the industry really helps. Like, when your friend is telling you, like, don't let this guy make you feel small. Right. You are strong. Like, the fact that you come up from a Latin American family. Both my parents didn't finish elementary school. Both my parents immigrated to the US with nothing. They had to learn English from scratch. I went to school, I'm like just lucky that I grew up in a suburban white area where I got an amazing education. I don't have an accent. I speak English very beautifully. That is profound. Like none of my family has ever gone to university. I was the first of every single thing.
Wow.
High school,
you're at an advantage
college.
Already, right?
Exactly. Why are you going to make some man make you feel small when you have conquered so much in the little time that you've been on this earth?
Agreed.
And I think hearing from someone from the outside tell me that is kind of what I needed, because I'm like, and I respect her and I look up to her, and if she's saying that about me, then I have to believe it. Now, that's not easy. That's not something that you're gonna wake up one day and feel confident, but I think having an outsider's perspective, like, you have conquered so much already, like you can't let people, and they're not putting you down. This is coming internally. No one ever made me feel small. No one, maybe some passive aggressive stuff here and there, but that's normal. No one ever outrightly said anything like damaging. But I think it was just conquering that inner voice of like constantly second guessing, like, no, you've done this, like, you're good. And I think that's kind of like having that in my corner really was paramount to me, like kind of growing and assuming a leadership, not being scared of it, but embracing it.
Cool. That's amazing. In terms of like support systems or communities, either here in the UK or in the US, how do you feel like they've developed as your career has progressed?
Yeah, so I think when I started, I didn't really look out for it. I think I was so in the grind that I was like, okay, work. I never really looked out for it. I think once I turned like 27, 28, it was around COVID time, I think that's when I just started meeting people that were younger than me, and I have younger sisters, and very much feeling like I need to tell them, like, look, tech, you can get a really good job here. Like, when I went to school, I didn't even know that was an option. Product manager, customer success, like, I never heard of those roles when I was in school. And I think ever since then, in my capacity, I really want to give back. And so and Ron, I know this is how I met you. It's like I meet a Filipino, I'm like, tell me your story. And how are you doing it? How are you feeling? Like, you can do it. Like, I don't know. If I just have to be someone's cheerleader, that's easy. That is so easy. You're just encouraging them and wanting to good for them. I've learned a lot, and I can pass that on. And I know I feel like I'm so ancient, like old, but like, that it's hard. Why should you go through that if I can tell you, hey,
100%.
I did this, skip that, just go that. So to me, I'm joining a lot of groups here in the UK. I'm part of Latinas in Czech. I do salsa community, so when I meet people just randomly, I do tech. Anytime I hear the word tech, I'm like,
you're involved.
Hey, tell me more about that. And that it doesn't have to be female, gender diverse, nothing. It's just, if you work in tech, I have thoughts. That's so amazing. To me, it's just natural. And
to be fair on that, that's the point of this as well. Like, Chico Talks, that's what we want to do. Like, we want to get people on here, and, if it helps, one person, for example, then that's like already a good statement.
And you don't have to do it alone. When I grew up, 100%. I was the only one always doing this. I had to navigate by myself, figure it out by myself. And I think that's what I don't want people to. You don't have to do it alone. And whether you're listening to a podcast or YouTube video, it's just hearing, like, it's just that maybe you're going through a hard time now. It's not always going to be like that.
100%.
And maybe your work is everything right now. As you can see for me, it's not everything right now. For me, I'm doing this personal life thing that I want to go abroad. Work is always there, but like, these things shift. You might be like super overwhelmed, stressed, but like, things are going to always kind of like balance themselves out. And I think that's what you need to hear when it's really rough.
100%.
And I wish I had that. I'm really lucky. I had friends who were not in the industry, and they were, kind of telling me that. So
amazing.
Cool.
Amazing.
Just to feed on a bit of that, just before we move on to the sort of last bits of it. One question for me is, of course, me and you, we met at, I think it was a networking event at Google.
Yes.
And obviously, thanks to Empower Latam, who obviously guided me to that event. I met you, etc. Networking, all of that.
Because it was. Food, I
was at that stage. I think when we met, I spoke to you like I was getting out there myself, because I was coming through like a period of life, like I was a bit like
You're
reluctant.
About to graduate.
I wasn't sure. I went to Ecuador, but then I came back, and then that gave me sort of like clarity of mind. One question for me for this section is, like, in the US and the UK, like, what differences do you think are, or improvements are to be made in terms of us being able to network more? Because I think you touched about it earlier on, that the US has more of us, so to speak. Whereas here in the UK, there isn't. Or there isn't the spaces yet. But like Eric mentioned, with Chico Talks, this is what we're trying to amplify the voices, getting people who already have connections. You were part of Latinx community for women, etc. So what do you think the UK maybe has to do to catch up?
Well, I think it's already difficult. So it's interesting because I work at Group GTI. A big part of what we do is get surveys from uni students. And one thing I noticed right off the bat was, like, we will grab diversity information, so where they're from. And they list out all the different countries, and Latin is not one.
You're other.
It's not even, it's an other. Which is, when I was here, I was like, what? Questioning, and everyone's like, what's wrong with that? What's wrong? Why is that bad? And I'm like,
why is it not bad?
I'm not an option on this drop-down list. So I think, and what I have been seeing are people putting out surveys, like, how do you feel about the fact that there is no drop-down with your background in there? And I think, I mean, that's going to be a long-term thing. That is literally governmental, like, policies that need to be updated. But the way that we speak about it, the fact that it feels wrong, they're not going to know that unless we speak out and we make a fuss about it. And so I think the thing that will be tricky with the UK is that that's not really encouraged. Do you want to make a big stink about, if you're working in a corporate setting already, do you want to cast yourself as that problematic person that's always, the activist Jen over here? I think that's something that you can navigate outside your job. and you have to find the right opportunity. At work, I'm not making a big stink. I made a question like, you guys don't think this is an issue? Okay. But I'm not making that my power thing at work at the moment.
Of course, yeah.
This is going to be a big thing that's changing university policies, that's changing how we work with clients. That's not my thing to bring up now. Maybe when I'm older and I have a ton of it, who knows? But right now, I am going to the people, different orgs that are created. What are you guys doing about it? What policy have you think about bringing up to politicians? I can have a voice. I can write up an essay. I can write up an email. I can advocate in that way. And I think that's what we have to do as a community. I think even just speak about the fact that that's an issue. And then that comes with time. But I think
lay the foundations
knowing
in
the
that
government,
sort of area.
like the government has to know we're here,
Yeah.
and that's a big first step, and that's going to take a bit of time. But I think right now, networking, build the community so people know we're out there. That is like a good first step.
Amazing. No. Appreciate that. So one of the last segments we've got is a quick fire round. So this is a one-word answer. You can't think about it. You literally just whatever comes to mind first. So I'll kick off. LATAM or EMEA?
LATAM.
Okay. Hike or long run?
Hike. Same.
Skiing or surfing?
Ooh, surfing.
Nice.
Okay. Elote loco or puspas?
Pupusas.
Pupas, sorry.
Pupusas.
It's a typo here. Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys.
Oh my God.
Sorry, elote loco or pupusas? Yes.
Pupusas.
Yes. We spoke about it earlier as well. Yeah. Typo.
Colombian salsa or Cuban salsa?
Cuban salsa.
Cuban salsa,
yes,
yeah?
That's
First
my
Cuban.
better, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting.
Last, cats or dogs?
Oh, cats.
Cats.
Yeah.
Is it just about or?
I love all
You
animals.
love all animals.
You know, it's hard to pick one, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay, cool. And then in terms of we'll close up there, a little bit of reflections. You know, if a 15-year-old Jen was listening to this podcast, what would you say to her?
Oh my God. I think I would say you don't have to have it all figured out. Stop stressing about having the perfect plan for life. You're gonna have so much fun in ways that you didn't even imagine, and just have fun now. I feel like that would have been good advice for her.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.